Good day and welcome once again to Moments with Dr. Steve. Thrilled to have you to be a part of this segment. I thought today, as we start to think about our biblical wisdom series that we're engaged in, that I would talk to you a little bit about the way out and the work I have done and put that into kind of a sermonic form. By the way, if you want to find the way out and any of the other work that I've created, go to stalegius.org and you can pick up a copy for a small contribution. And we're grateful for those of you that choose to do that. So, we're going to talk about the way out and the fact that when you start to think about sermons, and here I'm primarily addressing pastors, lay leaders, teachers, Bible study leaders, anybody that's involved in a parish or a local congregation or a home Bible study or perhaps a youth group, and you're trying to think about how is it that you create thoughtful structure. Well, we're going to show you exactly how I've done it in this case. And so today we're going to address the fact that in our age, in the moments that we live in, you pick up paper and pen and drawing and noodling, and these are the tools of our trade. If you were to look around the place that is my special nook, my little, place that I do all of my work, it's probably 200 square feet, maybe even less than that, maybe 120 square feet. But I'm surrounded by the things that matter to me: copies of my book, family photos, certificates of accomplishment, my degrees. This big picture behind me is Phobos, which is the spaceship that has to do with Volume 3 of Akhel. I'm surrounded by things that are familiar to me and make me feel cozy and comfortable. And so at the beginning, you need to have a nook, you need to have a place, you need to have somewhere where that you can go to on a regular, if not daily basis to begin your compositional work. And after that, then we have to remember that this is the new next gen workstation. Take a look. I would say, I don't know the numbers, but a large majority, I would say well over 50% of the people in the world, this is what their workspace looks like. Huh? If you look at my workspace, we have a printer, we have computers, we have, microphones, we have all kinds of things because I'm in the business of creating content. That's what I do. So take a look and let's go backwards because I need you to think about what are the tools of the trade in creating your Nook, and then I want you to see that this is what a modern workstation looks like now. And then when you think about my life, it's been filled with books and classes and degrees and determination and decades of studies and seminars and interacting with people and session work and dealing with organizations and high level things and then low level things, working with the mundane issues of life. That's what it takes to build a career. So you have to have a Nook, you have to understand the tools of the trade, you have to become something of a subject matter expert, and that takes time and effort and energy and investment and all those things, doesn't it? And then of course there is meditation and my journaling. Every day of my life, I do these things. Virtually every single day, folks. I don't talk about things and I don't promote things and I don't present things that I'm not doing or I'm not actuating in my own life. I meditate and I pray and I journal and I study. I've been keeping a journal for many, many, many years. And it's absolute gold. And so you need a Nook. You need to understand that you need some tools. You need to have a workspace. And you have to do the homework. And you have to do the hard study. And then you have to meditate and you have to write. And out of that come churches, and speaking events, and learning. And this is my alma mater, Southwest Baptist. This is my son's church. Yeah, these things grow out of the work that you do and the life that you plan and the activities that you create, the behaviors that you exhibit. And then you have to understand that none of this is a guarantee, because I was locked out nearly 3 full decades of ministry, and I attempted and failed and half-baked succeeded in getting back in, and the expulsion just stayed and stayed and stayed. And finally, I decided that enough was enough. And I've done radio and television, Bible studies and sermons and all this stuff. And then I decided that the number one thing I was in the world was a writer. I was an author, I was a novelist, I was a healer, and I plied my trade in solitude. And I offered my services where they were requested and when they were asked for. I didn't promote myself, I didn't push myself over the edge. I just prayed and asked God to make me a servant, a capable servant, but to allow me to be a servant for Christ. And then what happened? That made all the difference in the world for me, because the radio and the television and the speaking and the writing and the session work and the imaginative work, all of that came to fruition. It took a long time, and it still takes a long time. You must start alone, folks. You must start alone. You have to be a person that first and foremost is determined to fulfill the internal, what I call missional mandate, mandated mission. You have to do these things, and you have to do them in solitude for many, many, many days, if not years, if not in my case, almost decades. And then what happens is your spiritual gift emerges. And your spiritual gift is different, perhaps, than that which you have been told in the past. For me, I believe the spiritual gift is that which remains when everything else has been taken from you. When accolades and prominence and platforms and associations with successful people, when you are no longer thought about in, high and mighty ways, what's left? For me, writing and giving were all that I had left. And so I plowed into these. I've always been a generous person. I don't talk about it much ever publicly. But writing, that is my opus magnum, my magnum opus. And the first thing I created were the Three Gates of Fire series. And I created Wingless Flight in the middle, and then Hovering Presence on the left, and then Lifting Breezes. And what a great work of literature that is. It took me 20 years almost to complete those books. And then I began to work on Akeldima and then Planet Kresh. The Monumentus Myth is the prelude. And then came along Kingdom Builders, Kingdom Healers, and now I'm working on Kingdom Travelers, which is where, confusing here, where the Phobos comes in. I've got the Third Adam that I've worked on, Rocks That Glow. I'm working on a novella. All of this comes out of imagination and writing and meditation and prayer and careful thought. And so my desire for you, and then I built all kinds of self-help tools, the Genius Path, Isolation God's Forge, the Way Out, Life Lived on Purpose. Now I have another piece that I've created in the Writer's Covenant, and on and on and on it goes. And now we're working on film projects, Where None Dwell, based on Akeldima, and Keep Us Safe, which is based on and upon the Three Gates of Fire trilogy. So in the end, we 100% believe that God is the solve and that Jesus Christ is the way out. So on this day, we ask you to do one thing for yourself. Study hard. Find yourself a nook. Find yourself some tools. Get yourself some education. And then start to build your pieces. Till next time, I'm Dr. Steve Bonenberg. If you want to find out more, go to saintallegiance.org and drop us a note. Travel far